Hello and welcome to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar. In this video we'll be answering the question, what is a demonstrative pronoun? A demonstrative pronoun points out a noun that has already been mentioned. When referring to something that's near in time or space, we would use the demonstrative pronouns this and that. When referring to something further away, more distant in time and space, we would use the demonstrative pronouns these and those. I'm now going to run through what each of these demonstrative pronouns means with a few examples. So this is used as a demonstrative pronoun that identifies an item or thing. And the thing that's being pointed out or experienced here is close by. For example, is this your hat? When I ask that question, I use the demonstrative pronoun this because I'm pointing out something that's very close and I can see it. If a teacher says this class is always incredible, they are referring to a class that they can see right in front of them and they can experience that close by. So the best way to remember it about demonstrative pronouns is they point out something to you. Next up is that. It is used to identify a person or a thing that is seen or heard. For example, that's my hat over there. They can see the hat just over there. It's close by. That is also used when mentioning something that's already been considered, known or understood. Let's take, for example, that idea makes the most sense. From that sentence, what we've understood is that of all the ideas that have come up in this conversation, that idea, the idea that somebody else already mentioned, is the most sensible. And so the person in this last sentence has pointed out which idea they agree with the most. Those is the plural of that. When we say plural, we mean more than one thing. And so when we use those, we're mentioning several people or things or items that are either in the distance or seem far away. Were those hats meant to be worn? In that sentence, we can understand I'm asking that question about hats that do not belong to me, but that are also distant. They're not close by. Those hats. I'm pointing out more than one hat for a start. Additionally, if a teacher says, those students are always incredible, of all the students, they are pointing out more than one. They are specifically being clear of all the students that they know, those students that they have identified are the most incredible. If you're watching these videos and you're trying your best, that's you. You're incredible. So these, it's the last of the demonstrative pronouns that we're concentrating on in this video. It's used for the plural of this. It refers to items or things being pointed out or experienced in the distance, further away. For example, these hats are not mine. They belong to the shop. This person is referring to many hats, but is being clear that these hats do not belong to them, but the shop. They're pointing out that those hats are not theirs. If a teacher says these students are the best in the school, they're being clear that of all the students being pointed out over a history of time and over distance, these students that they have identified are the best. They're pointing them out. So my first takeaway of this whole video is that demonstrative pronouns are always pointing out the information. The noun is being used to point out. So what are the rules? A A demonstrative pronoun has 3 rules. It always refers to nouns, whether they are named or not. It's often used to describe animals, places, or things, but as we've already understood from my examples, it can also be used to consider people. They stand alone, oftentimes without the noun there at all, because a pronoun, as you should remember, it replaces the noun. So why don't you have a go? Identify the demonstrative pronoun in each of the sentences below. That looks like the car I used to own. This is my first bike. These cars look incredible, but too expensive for me to own. Why not hit pause if you need thinking time? But I wonder if you can spot the demonstrative pronouns. And even better, can you tell me what their function is? So, did you spot those demonstrative pronouns? Well done if you noticed that looks like the car I used to own. That refers to the specific item. In this case, it's the car. And it's close by. It's as if the person speaking can see it. This is my first bike. The person speaking is pointing out this specific bike that's close by is theirs. These cars look incredible, but too expensive for me to own. Oh, I understand. It refers to many items. It's not clear to us if they're close up or distant, but we understand there's many of them. And these cars, it suggests to us that this person is aware of all that they can see linked to these cars. So why not try and simplify the sentences below by using demonstrative pronouns? You should be able to reduce the number of words in the sentence by using the demonstrative pronouns properly. Why not hit pause if you need extra thinking time? So, number 1, the cake you are baking smells divine can be simplified by reducing all the words that are underlined just to that smells divine. As opposed to saying the exercise we are doing really hurts, I could just say this really hurts. For sentence number 3, which is a question, as opposed to saying what is the rainbow tent with loads of people in it, I could just say, what is that? For sentence number 4, which is also a question, I could say, do you know what to do with these? As opposed to, do you know what to do with the bright lights that are on over there? And finally, if I wanted to point out that my favourite chocolates are the ones in your hands now, I could just point to you and say, my favourite chocolates are those. What I hope you've realised is that demonstrative pronouns are the foundations of how we get to point out what words or nouns or things or people or ideas matter to us quickly. If we didn't have demonstrative pronouns, we would take a really long time just to get to the point. Why not subscribe to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar for all things English, literary and grammatical?